This is Smoking Out the Closet. Now, here are your hosts, Alex and Rayven Greer.
Hey, it's Rayven. I wanted to announce 2 new affiliate programs that Smoking Out the Closet is now a part of. First, I would like to announce a Pittsburgh local company, The Hemp Co., with 2 E's in The. They offer hemp-derived products including Delta 8 and Delta 9 gummies, vape cartridges, and pre-rolls, HHC vape cartridges, and sustainably used devices and products. All products are made with hemp bioplastic for all your cannabis device needs. And every product is third-party lab tested, DEA certified, and Farm Bill compliant. If you're looking to visit them in person, you can visit them at 20280 Route 19, Number 3, Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania, 16066, or online at theehempco.com. Be sure to use SOTC20 at checkout for 20% off on us. And we're also wildly excited about our partnership with Blazy Susan. They offer their iconic Blazy Susan rolling tray, as well as papers and cones in unbleached hemp, their famous pink, and their brand new purple colors. Follow our affiliate link in the show notes and use Blazy10, BLAZY10, for 10% off on checkout. Now, on with the episode.
Hi, I'm Alex. I use they, them pronouns.
Hi, I'm Rayven. I use she, her pronouns.
And welcome back to another episode of Smoking Out the Closet.
I don't know why we just did the whole thing together. I am so sorry.
It's okay, but we also did that backwards. I started instead of you. That was interesting.
Yeah, I don't like this strain we're on. Can we go straight into the review?
Yeah, please, because I'm still kind of seething, if you will, about this. I'm not a huge fan at all.
So, with Verano being new in the state of Pennsylvania, we decided to give them another review of one of their strains. The first one was all right. It wasn't terrible and everything, but this ice cream cake we got from them,
it's horrible. It's worse than mids. Ugh.
Oh yeah, we should probably go over that naming convention thing now. So we're gonna add little certifications of the levels. I'm gonna make watermarks in our review posters, and like last episode we started with it. Last episode was our strain we reviewed was certified mids because it had an average of 3. If it has, I want to say like less than 2 out of 5 average, it's going to be certified Boof. And then if it's got higher than 4 average, so if it's like between 2 and like more than 2, less than 4 certified mids, if it's less than 2, it's Boof.
Yeah.
And then if it's 4 or higher, it's slaps.
I feel like I should make us a graphic to post with this episode of what we're talking about, because that would be a lot easier for us to see. Future Alex, please remember to do this.
But before we go into the review, I just want to say Happy Halloweed.
Happy Halloweed. It is Halloweed at the time of recording this episode.
And I will be releasing this immediately after updating it. So sorry for our Patreons. But you know, one day, one week episodes like.
Do we have anybody pressing buttons over there yet?
I didn't check.
We should have people press buttons. Everybody go check us out on Patreon.
But this strain, ice cream cake, is. Well, let's just go over the breakdown on it. It's nice flower, looks nice, really pretty. It didn't see as many healthy pistils on it though as you usually do with Verano products. So I don't know if this is just like a male flower we got, or I hate saying this, but botanically hermaphroditic.
Mm-hmm.
I hate saying that word.
I hate that phrase.
But it's got 20.573 THCA, 1.671 THC, and 0.342 Delta 8 THC.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which I don't normally find in the medical program at all.
No.
So I'm wondering if this is crossed with a hemp strain by chance. Which,
I don't know.
Fuck them
That's
if they did
weird.
that.
Also, can I say while we're talking about it, this doesn't feel medical. When I smoke weed, I like to function, and this doesn't make my executive dysfunction any better. It doesn't make my attention span any more crisp. It's just I'm high.
I will say most of Verano's product is recreational weed, and they're boasting like, "Oh, we brought people from California over to Pennsylvania." I'm like, "How's that going to help when everything has to be indoor and grown because PA soil sucks?" You're in a medical state. Stop trying to make recreational weed, because this is why people don't buy these a whole lot. I mean, look, it's got 1.567 total terpenes, which is kind of low. I mean, it's not middle. I would say middle ground for terpenes. It's not super great. It's not super awesome, right? But the highest terpene on it is 0.418 beta caryophyllene, which that in itself is good because that's, 0.6 is like really high for flower. But everything else is under point. Oh no, I'm sorry. There's 0.516 limonene in here. I didn't see that earlier. But that's pretty much most of the terpenes.
Feel that limonene in there.
You really don't,
because that's usually an uplifting, makes me happy. I'm just still in my head. I don't.
Yeah, and it's weird because like it's got those two, and that's pretty much it. Everything is like point. There's like two that's like 0.1 something, and everything else is like 0.00 something. It's really bad for flower.
AK isn't even this bad sometimes.
Which is also owned by Verano.
Yeah.
Agrikind is Verano's one of their other grows, and honestly, I'm reviewing this, and price point does make a difference.
This is $50 an eighth.
For fucking $50 an eighth? No. I'd rather, get Cresco or
Strain.
Strain's cheaper, better.
Terrapin's
cheaper, better.
Terrapin's 35 an eighth right now, and I've had their ice cream cake. So much better.
Exactly.
Exact same strain. Similar, if there was more of a profile here. Similar profile.
Mm-hmm.
Better effects. I don't feel like I'm in my head. This is definitely... They boast about bringing people from California, but they focus, I feel like, out there. They're the party state, bro. Like, love my friends over, like, in California, but, like...
There's a lot of grows that don't focus on the terpenes. They focus more on the cannabinoids.
Mm-hmm.
And that shows.
It shows, especially in, like, weed like this, I feel like. Because we are a medical state only.
So, I'd give it a 2.3. It's a good high. But that's about it.
Yeah.
I honestly, and for the price point that's hitting it, I feel like 2.3 is even generous for it.
That's why I dropped mine to just a 2.
Yeah, I'm dropping mine.
I don't... Now I gotta figure out what to do with the rest of this. That's gonna be one of the ones I'm gonna keep on the back of my shelf if I run out. Yeah, that's what that's gonna become.
I dropped to 1.8.
Ooh.
Just because of the price point. Like, Kind Tree, this is about on the same level as some of the bad Kind Tree we've had, but they're not slapping a $50 price point on it.
The bad Kind Tree is even better than this Verano.
Yeah, I will say I had better effects from that Verano. Because like my high is already losing. We literally smoked and then start recording, and I'm getting sober already. We
maybe sat here for 5 minutes, got situated, like set the episode up, got an extra table for my drinks.
So a total of maybe 10, 12 minutes.
And then, this is a... I felt like the Pablo, too. It's very short-lived. Mm-hmm. I could smoke it definitely all day if I'm sitting at home, and that's all I'm doing.
I like the Pablo, though, more than this.
I do, too. It had more effects than this.
So you were a 2.
Yeah.
I'm a 1.8, just because, like, the biggest thing is price point on that one, which dropped it below a 2. So this is Certified Boof. Man, I was kind of sucking, because, like, Verano does look good and everything, but,
yeah.
No.
Not a huge fan.
Moving on into some good news for our friends over in Europe. Or did you want to start on your topic?
No, go ahead.
So Germany is officially set to legalize recreational use of cannabis.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
So I got a link from Reuters, like the gas station around here, right? Reuters?
I think it's Reuters.
Reuters? I don't know.
Reuters, Reuters. Any other English buffs out there besides me, let me know. I suck with pronunciation sometimes.
Anyway, this one's written by Raham Al-Kusa? Sorry if I mispronounced your name. I'm not that great with words.
Sometimes we can barely figure out English. Clearly, as you just heard from that.
But on October 26th, Germany sets out its plans to legalize cannabis, a move Chancellor Olaf Scholz government said we would make Germany one of the first countries in Europe to do so. Health Minister Karl Lauterbach. Also, sorry, I don't speak German that well.
Yeah, can I say German is so hard. One of my friends tried to learn it. He was learning it in high school by himself. It is so. You guys make such interesting noises with your mouths.
Phrasing. Presenting a cornerstone paper on planned legislation to regulate the controlled distribution and consumption of cannabis for recreational purposes among adults. Acquiring and possessing 20 to 30 grams of recreational cannabis for personal consumption would also be made legal. That's a lot of weed.
That is a lot of weed. I mean, I'm not gonna out myself over here with this shelf, but yeah, that's a lot.
I don't think we have that much though between the two of us.
I'm curious.
You got to think a lot of those are half jars too.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of it's just packaging.
The coalition government struck an agreement last year to introduce legislation during its 4-year term to allow controlled distribution of cannabis in licensed shops. Lauterbach did not give a timeline for the plan. Many countries of the region have already legalized cannabis for limited medical purposes, including Germany in 2017. Others have decriminalized its general use while stopping short of making it legal. According to the paper, private self-cultivation will be permitted to a limited extent. Ongoing investigations and criminal proceedings connected to cases are no longer illegal would be terminated. That's good, because that's what it seems like. It's anybody who's been that's in jail for it, and they're just like, fuck it, let's get them out.
Yeah.
Just gonna stop whatever's on trial, and then the ones in jail just get them out.
Because Germany doesn't have for-profit prisons, do they?
No. Germany didn't privatize their prisons like we did in America.
You know, sometimes when you don't want to be like somebody else, this goes back to like Nazi era Germany. America wanted to not be like Germany so much that they're like, they went way too far with this.
No. See, here I can go on a tangent on that, and I'm not going to, but I can later. The government would also introduce a special consumption tax, fair, and develop cannabis-related education and abuse prevention programs.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you can always take something too far. I mean, you can video game too much.
Oh, absolutely.
And, kind of just let your job go down the gutter or social life,
Yeah.
Everything in moderation. I think that's nice, at least. I mean, we'll have to see what they do with that. Let's see. These are just statistics of how much it could bring, how many people said they use cannabis. How if the EU rejects anything. Okay. So nothing too bad on that regards. It was basically the EU, their base I can read that real quick. If the EU Commission's says no to Germany's current approach, our government should seek alternative solutions, not just say, well, we tried our best, said Nicholas Kupranis, chief executive of the Bloomwell Group, one of the country's largest cannabis firms. Berlin should have a plan B if the EU rejects the legislation. Kupranis said, adding that cannabis imports should be permitted as domestic cultivation would not be allowed to meet the demand in the short term. Okay, so it seems like they're trying to hopefully work with the EU to kind of spread it across the European Union. That'd be real cool. I mean, it seems like Germany is taking the approach that we wanted to do in California and actually making it work. Looks like camera office style. But yeah, I feel like they're actually trying to make it work and everything, and good on them. We'll have to see what happens, but congratulations, Germany. You guys,
that's awesome.
I know we have some listeners according to our Anchor results and everything. That we have people that listen in Germany. Sorry, I just blanked for a second. God, this weed fucking sucks.
It does. This is what I smoke to avoid, not to get.
This definitely seems like street weed.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've been told, I didn't start smoking till I got into the program. Well,
I haven't bought street weed in so long, but yes, this is like the shit I used to buy in college. Just the
yeah.
But at least that shit I bought in college gave you the giggles. This shit didn't. This shit doesn't do that.
Yeah, this is a bad
bad.
grow there, Verano. Just ugh.
Just don't. It's bad.
Do you want to do your topic? Do you think you have time, or do you
Mine
want to
is
do that?
big and long.
Do you want to do that in the second half?
Probably do that in the second half.
Okay.
We can have some time to discuss it afterwards too. So
Okay. Well, then I'll go into my next topic of candy.
Candy.
Since it is the spooky season, and well, we didn't have time to make and share some recipes. I did want to talk about candy. Now, there's a whole big rise with a lot of the GOP in the country kind of saying that stoners are going to share their edibles with kids. To bring that up first before I actually talk about cannabis infused candy. It's just fear tactics and everything, honestly. It's just left over from fucking the war on drugs mentality and, you know, the
Reefer madness.
Reefer madness, thank you.
You're welcome.
I was going to say marijuana madness, but I was
Same
like, that's
thing.
not right.
Same thing.
But honestly, how many of you, first off, if we turn this into an edible, this is fucking $50. I'm not going to spend $50 to make like 12 gummies and give it to some snot-nosed kid.
Exactly.
No, this is going to be mine.
Yeah. If you go through all of that, you are going to be the one eating it. Nobody wants to give your kids their edibles. Nobody likes your kids that much.
No. Like,
pull your head out of your ass. Come on.
Now, the parents, I might.
Yeah.
I might be like, yo, bro, this is for you.
Yeah, if that's you.
If we lived in a recreational state and that was legal to do, I would be like,
happy Halloween, bro.
I would be like Hyde on that episode of that 70s show.
Yeah.
Have you ever been arrested for any cannabis related charges and hate the government? Yeah. Have a brownie.
Yes.
But yeah, I would definitely do that with like the parents. I know some people give parents beer during trick-or-treating, so I mean I would do that with the parents, but definitely not the kids. No, I'm not giving that to kids. They're not old enough. We know that. It's not like I'm gonna give like a beer. If I'm giving beer to the dad or the mom or the parent, I don't know, however they identify, whoever the legal guardian is with the kids going trick-or-treating and everything, and I'm giving out beer to the adult, I'm not gonna give a beer to the 4-year-old sitting there looking like, I don't know, Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony. I don't know. I just threw a kid's cartoon show off the top of my head. What?
Oh, nothing.
Are you thinking the Ryan Reynolds quote from Deadpool? Because that's what popped in my head.
No, that's what I'm thinking about. Oh my goodness, that's better than what I was thinking about.
Oh, I don't know.
No, you don't.
But
I have insomnia and I'm a child of the internet. You put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. So yeah, no one's want to give your kids their edibles.
No.
That being said, edible making has been a little thing I've been experimenting with here and there.
Oh, me too. I made my chocolates. Oh, it's so much fun.
Definitely get actually melting chocolates instead of baker's chocolates.
The baking chocolate chips don't work as well. We thought it didn't matter. If you have a dry food store near you, you can get big bulk bags of baking chips. They're chocolate wafer things. Those guys.
Or if you're in near Amish people, they tend to sell it really cheap. I used to get that all the time as a kid.
They have the dry goods stores and stuff.
But yeah, double broilers are your friend, but you don't have to have a double broiler. You all right?
My eyes are so itchy, and my visual snow is so bad right now.
You gonna be all right?
I think it's this weed. Also,
Okay.
I'm not a fan.
Drink some water.
Some water.
As a good time to remind our listeners, hydrate.
Hydrate or die straight.
Man. But you don't need a double broiler. So usually what I do is I have a regular, what's the pot set you gave me? The pot and pan set?
Tupperware? No, not Tupperware. Those are shit.
They're Teflon style.
Yeah, they're, oh my god. Tefal.
Tefal, yeah.
They're Tefals.
So I got a Tefal pot. I fill that like quarter to a halfway, like kind of in between with water. And then I got those ceramic cauldrons from last year
at Michael's. And they had them, just so everybody knows, they did have them now at Michael's. They're probably sold out because it is Halloween.
Yeah. Or you could just do another pot, a smaller
pot on the inside. Be careful though with scratching the Teflon.
So what I would suggest, if you're doing a Tefal set with a Tefal set, get a small pot, put that with water, and then get one that's a little bigger. Yeah. And put that on top so it heats the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's the way you could do that. So basically, you just want something that's either like more oven safe. Yeah. Or something you can cook on the stove with. And just put that's a little bit bigger. That's what I like using that ceramic pot, because it barely sits in the, or bowl, it sits in the pot just barely.
If you have Pyrex measuring containers,
that
and
works
a pair of
too.
tongs, you can have them hold it in the water, and then you can melt your chocolate in that as well.
Also, for those of you who can, and you have the canning stuff, get a ball jar, put your chocolates in there, and just act like you're canning it, but leave the lid open.
Yep.
That's another way to do that.
No, that way.
Stoners are just very creative when it comes to making shit work. Yeah. Kind of like rednecks. Actual rednecks, not the fucking bootlicker hicks. I can go on a tangent on that. I'm not going to. That being said, so if you're making chocolates, make sure you're getting melting chocolates. Don't get baked chocolates. We made that mistake. Yeah. And if you're making them in molds, make sure they're thin molds.
Yeah.
We made that mistake too.
Yeah, because we came out with some tall ass motherfucking chocolates.
They're silicone ice cream trays that we thought, these would be great for chocolate.
We're like, what the hell is the difference between a silicone ice cube tray and a chocolate mold? Well, we found out.
I mean, they'd be great for gummies.
Oh, yeah. Just they're a little big for chocolates.
Yeah, so the way we do is if you can get RSO and do the same measured little, like half, if you want to do a half grain of rice or a full grain of rice size.
Or dose them however you usually dose your RSO.
But, just put that in with the chocolate while it lets it cool. Make sure you spray the inside of the mold.
So that they come out easier.
Mm-hmm. Especially same with gummies. However, how I make gummies is, I mix the Jello pack and the gelatin. I can share a recipe that I get these from in the show notes. But I also do that in a double broiler method as well. But I just stick the whole damn RSO into the mix.
My coworker did that, and she licked every single pot and pan and spoon that she used, and my God, was she stoned by the end of it. I licked I stirred mine. I did it the other way. I melted my chocolate. I put my RSO in, and then I stirred them all individually, and then I licked the chopstick. And I'm telling you, something about just the warm chocolate and the liquidy warm RSO and it being in my mouth. I got very, very stoned. I also was puffing on my pen during the entire thing.
Yeah, so. Probably didn't help. Hard candy, also easy to do. Very similar. You just got to make sure that with hard candy versus chocolate and gummies, I would say you need often than not, you need a candy thermometer because that gets very finicky very fast.
And make sure you don't scorch your sugar and stuff like that.
Now, that being said, if you want to try making hard candy, you're more than welcome to. I've seen people take Jolly Ranchers of their favorite flavor, put it in a double broiler, melt it that way till it just gets to like the very slow, obviously medium heat, melt the Jolly Ranchers, then put their edible or their tincture or RSO or whatever method you want to use to infuse it, and then basically pour it on a cookie sheet with some parchment paper. Yeah. Evenly spread it and make it like Jolly Rancher brittle.
Yeah. I shared with you a recipe on Facebook for hard candy.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to share that in the show notes.
My mom and I always used to make hard candy as a kid, so I know how to make it. If you ever want to make hard candy, I know exactly how to make it. I just need a candy thermometer.
Now, that being said, if you are having an adult Halloween party, fucking and everyone's stoners, make cannabis infused treats. Rice Krispie treats that make it look like with chocolate on the top and like pretzels on the sides, make it look like little spiders or brownies like that. Like make Halloween themed edibles and just everybody have a cool chill time.
That'd be awesome.
Watch Rocky Horror, watch some scary movies.
Heck yeah, watch Scream, watch Psycho, watch some of the old black and white, watch Birds.
Oh God. Watch MST3K do horror movies. Yes. And have a good time with that.
Maybe that's what we should do. Whenever Luna comes over. we can sit and watch awesome stuff and cuddle on pumpkins. Carve pumpkins. Ow.
But yeah, definitely have some fun with your infused candies for adult Halloween parties. But yeah, nobody's giving their crap to their kids. I'm sorry,
No.
I'm stealing some of your water.
You're good. This weed is, oh my god, I want to rub my eyeballs out. They're itchy. It also might be because the ragweed and shit is still so bad out here. I'm just so ready for it to stay cold. I want to be able to breathe, dang it.
I'm going to tag you, Verano, like I do with most of our Instagram posts and everything. This is bad.
This is very bad. Please take note and do something about it, please. I'm waiting for Savvy to come out because I feel like it has potential.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be disappointed again, so I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much.
Yeah, rumor has it, that's around the grapevine, is Savvy is coming out to Pennsylvania.
Rumor has it.
But I mean, it's in a lot of their other dispensaries too, another state. So I wouldn't be surprised that's should be coming or anything. You know.
Yeah.
I'm done with the candy thing. I think. Do you want to take a break?
Yeah.
And then come back to your big topic?
Absolutely. It's so much fun.
Alrighty, we'll be back in a few moments.
Yeah. Hey there, it's Alex from Smoking Out the Closet. We've been so glad to be able to make this podcast for you, and we now have some partners who are happy to help make this podcast happen as well. Our friends over at Da Vinci Vapors have sent us one of their many amazing products, the IQC Dry Herb Vaporizer. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you've heard us talk about Da Vinci, and we've even used the IQC on the show. With a half-gram dry herb chamber, 30-second heat-up time, precision temperature control, removable and rechargeable 18650 battery, and an on-time of 2 hours, what's not to love about the Da Vinci IQC? Well, what if we told you can get an extra 15% off just for listening to this podcast? That's right. Use the code SOTC15 for 15% off at checkout site-wide. Thanks again to our friends over at Da Vinci Vapors. And now, back to the episode.
Before we get to your topic real quick, can I just say I noticed something?
What's up?
This is the first bad strain I've had with you that we both hated.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
That's
just wanted
okay.
to say that on the record.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. Okay, so I have a really fun topic for us because it is Halloween. And spooky sounds there. That I wanted to talk about. You actually brought this up to me a while ago, and then you forgot about it, and then you brought it up to me again.
Mhm.
And I'm glad you reminded me because we are going to talk about queerness in horror.
Yeah, and you told me you learned some stuff from this, so I'm excited to hear what
did.
you learned.
As a horror fan, I learned some things. So from the beginning of horror on screen, horror's been crafted by LGBTQ people. Nosferatu in 1922 was directed by F.W. Moran. He was a gay man. The Dark Old House in 1932 was crafted by James Whale. He was also a gay man. And that is the movie that heavily influenced one of my favorite movies, The Rocky Horror Picture Show. It heavily influenced the writing of the screenplay, which then got turned into the movie. And Richard O'Brien is a transgender person. And they're the one who wrote Rocky Horror Picture Show.
And shock treatment. Don't
and
forget
shock treatment. And they're horror. I call them horror adjacent, because they are kind of horror-y, but they're.
I would say they're more like gothic comedies.
Yeah, they're just cult films.
Yeah, they are.
The cult films are also super broad term. Hellraiser was written and directed by Clive Barker, who is also gay.
And the new one that's on Hulu has a trans woman sex demon.
Which is fucking amazing.
I relate to that on a spiritual level.
Hashtag relatable content. Also, can I just say real quick, because even in the horror community,
There's a lot of gay
there are so many gay people. Can I also say that one of my biggest idols I look up to in the horror community, fucking Robert Englund, is so positive, pro LGBT, and he's so cool with literally he loves all of his fans and shit. And can you not tell me that Nancy from the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie, she was every queer woman's girlfriend dream, when she grew up with the very professional looking, like little like thin wisp of like gray in her hair from stress and stuff, and the way her hair was. Just and also like horror has this weird connection with sexuality too.
Because you could say, if like you could make the headcanon that Freddy was just the societal hetero norms that were being pushed on Nancy, stressing around, trying to kill her and everything, and that she really was a lesbian. You could make that headcanon and no one would fucking bat an eye because horror could do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Freddy an actual manifestation of that? No.
Also, I feel like this is a good place. I think I had this down in my notes a little bit. Yeah, right there it is. So this is a great time to easily transition into, even though we're in horror movies and things haven't always been very nice to us. Because there's like the stereotypical like, oh hey, there's a gay person, they're gonna be one of the first ones to die in this horror movie.
Or they're the villain.
Exactly. The very good example, the prime example of transphobic and really poor representation of a trans person in a horror movie is Silence of the Lambs. Because Buffalo Bill is a trans person and is, cross-dressing or however it's very ambiguous on how they really portray, but it's very poorly portrayed.
Yeah, and you could use, like, some TERF can make the argument of, like, that is how trans women are, because TERFs do like to use people who are into cross-dressing, that still identify as male or cis, because, you can have the opposite effect with women, too. But, like, cross-dressers, as that's all that trans people are.
Yeah. And, like, it's just because all representation isn't good representation. Like, yeah. So, but also morphing into, going back to, like, being created and influenced by it, a lot of written horror was written by gay people. Like, horror from even like the very beginning. If you look at Mary Shelley, the badass, I was telling you about badass goth bitch. We were talking in the middle of Barnes and Noble. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was there because spooky season, and she's a badass goth bitch. And also, it was speculated to believe that she was bisexual and that the Frankenstein's monster in her novel was like her repressed feelings for women.
I could see that. Because a lot of people do that, especially authors, because the original, and I can't remember their name, the original author of The Little Mermaid, to kind of piss off some people who are like, oh, we can't have a little, Ariel, I'm going to piss you off even more. The original book was written by a man who was gay and lusting over a man he couldn't have. Ariel is a self-insert about his struggle. And Ursula is the societal norms making him lose his voice.
Yeah. So, suck it. I think that's we talked about my Disney beef before, which is why I haven't watched a lot of Disney. But there are a certain kind of Disney fan that I hate. Because they're the ones that they like the whitewashed, they like the Walt Disney, they like that kind of thing, not what they actually came from. Like, and I'll do that with like Grimm's fairy tales, too. I like the original ones. They taught a lesson. Like, and yeah, kind of terrifying, honestly. Actually, and dark.
Can we talk about that? Because the Grimm's fairy tales could arguably be called horror.
Yeah, they really could be. I mean, they're very popular in like the goth community. That I got my copy of Grimm's fairy tales. I think that's an unedited version.
Because the original one, hit the table. Like in the original one, like version of Cinderella, fucking the stepsisters lose their fucking eyes.
They cut their feet to try to fit their foot in the shoe. They cut their toes off.
Yeah, that's
Hansel and Gretel get baked and eaten. The grandmother, the werewolf person. No, Grandma's a cannibal. They went to go see Grandma and they were afraid of the wolf. No, they were afraid of Grandma. Grandma ate them.
Yeah, it's the original Grimm's versions of the Grimm's fairy tales are very horror-esque. Very queer in a lot of cases too, with how they're written.
Yeah. There's also this, I've never actually, and everybody's gonna be shocked that I've been goth this long and never fucking heard of Carmilla. It's an overtly very queer vampire novel that predates Dracula. It was written in 1872 is when it was published.
Huh.
It's not queer coded. It is not coded. It is not implied. It is in your face. Carmilla is a lesbian vampire.
Okay, I need to read this book.
So do I. And I'm just like, holy shit, this is awesome. And then
So this is older than Bram Stoker?
This is older than Bram Stoker's Dracula by a good 25 years.
Wow.
25 years prior. Because Bram Stoker's Dracula was published in 1897. And Bram Stoker was actually in the community as well.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to know how I figured this out? This is what I learned, and this is what fascinates the shit out of me.
I know you're getting excited because you're getting loud.
Not only do I love the genre, I love the people who wrote it. I love looking at their life stories. I like looking at how they communicate and interact with each other. And like, okay?
Nerd. I love
Getting all teary-eyed. This is why I was an English major for so long, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. But here we are now, and it's coming in useful.
In a podcast.
Bram Stoker died with a wife, but he had wrote love letters to Walt Whitman, who was another very queer...
Yeah, Walt Whitman was very flaming.
Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Very flaming poet.
Wow, I didn't know that. I feel like a lot of the poets of that time were, though, too, because like Henry David Thoreau, I feel like was kind of by
I'm pretty
some of his poetry.
But yeah, I actually have an excerpt of the love letter.
Oh.
And here's quoting. Shelley wrote to William Godwin, and they became friends. Insert here. They got married. This is like Sappho and her friend. They got married.
Okay.
But Bram was like, and they became friends. Later on, he writes, if you would ever care to have more, referring to the letters, you can imagine, if you would ever care to have more than you can imagine, for you have a great heart, how much pleasure it would be of mine to write more to you. How sweet a thing it is for a strong, healthy man with a woman's eye and a child's wishes to feel that he can speak to a man who can be as if he wishes, father and brother and wife to his soul. I don't think you will laugh, Walt Whitman, nor despise me, but at all events, I thank you for all of the love and sympathy you have given me, in common with my kind.
That is so much a gay letter.
That is so gay, and it is gorgeous, and my heart soars when I read it.
That was sweet.
It's
that was
beautiful. Bram Stoker was writing this to Walt Whitman.
Wow.
And he had it in his desk for, I want to say, at least 10 years, because he never sent it.
He never sent it?
He didn't want to send it. He was very scared, because he didn't know what he was going to think of him. But later, he wrote another accompanying letter, and said, hey, this was sitting on my desk and I was looking at it and I finally am sending it to you along with this one. And he begins that letter saying, it's totally okay if you just burn this. If you throw it away, you don't have to read it. You can literally just destroy it. Just throw it in the fireplace. If you get to just the end of this sentence, I understand. And then he goes on in the letter saying, if you're reading this far, I really hope you do read to the end because it's important. And like, I was at work and I was tearing up.
I mean, that would make sense, though, because I didn't finish Dracula, but the way, like, a lot of the men talk about Dracula, it's kind of, like...
Dracula has everybody under his wing.
Yeah. Like...
Dracula... Okay. Vampires have always been very inherently queer.
Yeah, at least pansexual. Because
going back to, and this also plays into society's homophobia, not surprising. But vampires became about kind of like a grim fairy tale. They tell people, don't go into the woods at night, it's dangerous. Don't trust people with diseases because you could also get that disease. Be careful, like protect yourself. And then that became a figure of people who were queer reclaiming it and saying, hey, this is how I feel about who I am as a person.
Yeah, I could see that, especially like post-AIDS epidemic and everything, because a lot of people treated us like how people were described in books treating vampires. And the thing that doesn't make sense to me, too, is the era of when people are like, don't go into the woods, these vampires have this disease occurs. Fucking the rich, wealthy people were incest and filled with syphilis.
Yeah. Also... it just popped into my head. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, if you know anything about Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
was one of the first lesbian relationships I ever saw on TV.
It is so queer. And this is also the vampires then morphed from their like sexual orientation into, once it became accepted, sexual expression, because vampires became then sexual. They became sexual beings because the sex revolution happened, and that's how we get the stereotypical like sexy vampire, because there's still a lot of sex taboo.
I will say I do love how What We Do in the Shadows kind of portrays it. I haven't gotten that far, but it definitely seems like they're all just like I fall for a person kind of mentality.
Yeah.
But it does remind me of one of my favorite quotes from that. It's a little off topic, and I'm sorry. I dare not speak the name of that vampire sullied this situation or something like that. I will. His name was fucking Mike.
I wrote another note here about Dracula and Stoker. I'm not quite sure what, I was so high when I wrote this. Alex, what the fuck are you doing? It's Talia Schaefer. I pulled a bunch of different articles because this was all over the fucking internet. I had at least 8 tabs open just on this topic alone. Talia Schaefer wrote in 1994 that Dracula explores Stoker's fear and anxiety as a closeted homosexual man during Oscar Wilde's trial, who eventually did get charged with sodomy.
Yeah, that's right, because that was during the time Stoker was writing the book. I forgot about that. Time's weird.
Yeah, time is
very
listen,
weird.
People don't understand how close together shit happens. Like,
because I forget
the whole Abraham Lincoln fax machine and ninja shit. Samurai shit. All of that.
Yeah, that's a weird one to think about. But that doesn't make sense, because around this time, this is like late 1800s, early 1900s. So Bram Stoker was making Dracula at the same time Oscar Wilde was in trial for sodomy laws at the time. Walt Whitman was making some of his most famous poetry. Henry David Thoreau already had his first full volume published by this time and was already well famous and established for this. And then you also have Ernest Hemingway also writing books at this same exact time while on opium. Because this was before, this was like around the tail end of the, what was the war he was, it was, this is around the same time he was also making a, oh no, Ernest Hemingway wasn't, he was just born. Fuck, I forget Hemingway's closer to us than he is to Oscar Wilde and everything. But yeah, so.
Do you want to know something that I just realized? From doing this research and talking to you?
Yeah.
Some of my favorite poets growing up were gay men. And my aunts, some of my aunts' also favorite poets were gay men. I just thought that was interesting because that was one of those things we just never talked about at home.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense though, because your family.
Yeah, my family.
But yeah, horror is. I mean, even today, horror is very queer.
And it has a queer history leading up to like present day. If we want to talk about movies and stuff.
Yes.
So I took this from the gay. Would you please go away, Discord? Thank you. I took this from the Gay and Lesbian Review blog. In 1944, a short story called "The Bad Is My Brother" by Robert Bloch. He was best known as the writer of Psycho in 1959. Describes a man's first person experience of coming out as a vampire, and has a guardian who explains, "Yes, I am a vampire, and so are you." The guardian shows the new vampire the ropes, an older, more experienced man or vampire, teaching the cultural norms to a younger one. This could also be seen as frightening or overwhelming with the counsel. The counsel of a mentor becomes normal as breathing. So, like, it's basically I butchered and stumbled my way through the description, but basically it's like the older person, the older vampire teaching the younger vampire things, and this also could be used to describe somebody coming from like a farm to the big city of San Francisco and experiencing that gay culture at that time, because that was it was black and white from the East Coast to the West Coast then, because it's 1959. But Robert Bloch, who wrote Psycho is one of, if you say, hey, what do you think is one of the most well-known horror movies, Psycho is up on like the top 5. But yeah, So early horror movies, early horror adjacents, early like stuff. And then we also recently we talked about it before, they/them, which is another interesting perspective of like
a malevolent spirit haunting over a conversion therapy camp, which I think is a big middle finger to conversion therapy.
It absolutely
kind of shows
is
the horror that conversion therapy is in itself and the experiences from it.
And horror has this way of being able to express feelings about things that are heavy, that are like, they can talk about trauma, they can talk about experiences, and it doesn't get shunned because it creates this space of comfort. And I think that's probably why I watched so many horror movies growing up. It was my way of like comfort, right? But this gives you the creative space to do so and not be shot down. And like people love it and they become classics.
Can I just say though, I do have some good representation of modern, more kind of horror. I mean, one's older, but we kind of start with like Nightmare on Elm Street 2 apparently had a very gay man, was the shy teen character that was trying to survive.
Was it
Mark Payne played the first male scream queen in this horror sequel as Jesse, a shy teen boy haunted by Freddy Krueger.
My god, yes. Wow, yep. Yep.
But like more modern, the current TV I already talked about what we do in the shadows, but the current TV adaptation of Interview with a Vampire. I mean, the original books were already fucking gay.
Absolutely.
Lestat is like the prime fucking pansexual representation right there. Lestat's just a horn dog, which some of us are, myself included, but I'll call myself out there. But Lestat's just more, I don't care about what you are, I more care about who you are. And that makes a big difference to Lestat. Because Lestat cares more about the connection, not the body parts.
Absolutely.
And you know, a lot of these immortal creatures are usually polyamorous or pansexual or some variation of.
You also always have like the vampire with the harem, like the vampire harem. And also, can we go back to Dracula too, please? I'm pretty sure he was fucking the entire town. If you also look at Strahd, Curse of Strahd, you can't tell me that Strahd isn't like fucking everybody.
But then you also have the Chucky TV show. Now, I like Chucky. I know you hate Chucky. This is one that you and me don't
have a complicated history with. I have a complicated history with Chucky.
So at the time, Seed of Chucky, Chucky and his wife Tiffany, who are both in their possessed doll forms, use magic to create a child. Tiffany wants a daughter. Chucky wants a son. Insert Glenn. They named them Glenn, and Glenn kind of just does not know. Glenn's like, well, what if I was a boy? What if I was a girl? Do I have to choose? Kind of thing was pretty much the entire movie. Eventually, this is where, at the time, it's bad representation, kind of, I felt like, and I've always felt like. Eventually, Glenn snaps and becomes Glenda and goes to more of a psychotic rampage like Chucky does. And a lot of people kind of chalk that up as like split personality disorder kind of thing. But enter the new Chucky TV show. And in the first season, Chucky's talking with a queer kid that he's kind of just hanging around with. He doesn't kill. For some reason, Chucky doesn't kill this kid. I think he sees something in him. But literally he goes, he's like, you know, I got a queer kid. Yeah, gender fluid. The kid goes like, what, you're accepting? He's like, I'm not a monster, Jake. And it makes me think he's a murderer, not a monster. Yeah. But like, and apparently in the new season, which I haven't watched, they show up. So Glenn/Glenda is a gender fluid person who uses Glenn when they're presenting more masculine and Glenda when they're presenting more feminine. And I was like, I love it.
Can I just say I hope Glenda is like a tip to like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, because one of the aunts, it was Aunt Glenda.
That's a common witch name too in horror. But I think because they use magic to create their child, I think is probably why they did why Tiffany wanted Glenda.
Mm-hmm.
I recently did a Halloween costume at work as your favorite horror movie character, and I went as Glenda, and I took out one of my old gender fluid pride pins because I used to identify as gender fluid, and I have the right hair for it right now.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm thinking about maybe I might be ready to watch it. Listen, if you and Luna are here to watch it with me, and I don't know, I might be able to watch Chucky.
I might ease you in with the TV show, because the TV show is not as bad as the older movies.
Okay, because those, fuck, that's scared.
So
that scarred
we'll
me
probably
for life.
ease. Well, like the TV show will be your lube, but we'll just ease you into it. But guys, like, yes, horror movie has been very inherently queer, and I love that, and I will say that, like, we are getting better representation. Apparently, the current rumor mill as of right now, because I haven't seen the movie yet, that the new Henry Selick, Jordan Peele co-wrote, written, and directed movie Wendell and Wild is apparently there's a character that's very trans-coded.
Yeah, I love what Peele's doing.
Oh, I love Peele stuff. He's super supportive of the community too.
Robert Englund speaks so highly of him. Like,
the fact that you have Robert Englund putting him on like damn near the same pedestal as Wes Craven speaks volumes.
Exactly. And because it literally heard it with my own ears at Steel City Con.
Yeah, like that's not like we heard it in an interview.
No.
Like, this is from the man directly to us in the audience.
Yeah, we were maybe like 10 rows from the front. If we were to retcon everything and make a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie, we would want Peele to direct it, and direct it.
Like both,
and everybody was on board.
Both Robert Englund and Heather Langenkamp was for that. Oh, speaking of her, American fucking Horror Story.
Oh my god, yes, American fucking Horror Story.
She writes and directs a lot of that. That's very queer coded.
Also, Lady Gaga writing and directing, and Lady Gaga huge in the community.
Oh yeah. I don't know if she identifies as part of the community, but I know she's definitely an ally. At least.
Definitely.
She has earned the ally badge.
Absolutely, 100 times over. She gave for the longest when her son when Born This Way came out, anthem for every single Pride since. Still.
There's a bunch of songs that every Pride uses, and a lot of it is Gaga. And don't get me wrong, I love Gaga.
I love Gaga too.
Can we get some new songs?
Can we make
Pride?
Make some new gay music,
please?
Since 2010, we've had the same music.
But no, I like that. Like we're getting better. We're getting better with LGBT representation in horror.
Yes.
Because I feel like The Nun, I haven't seen it, but part of me always wonders if The Nun, the reason why she's an evil spirit, she's coming after gay kids because Catholicism. I wish we were recording this physically so people could see how I move.
Listen, as somebody, oh my god, I love all of that's also in the The Conjuring. That's in the Conjuring universe, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Because I love all of those movies. Funny enough, Annabelle Comes Home is probably one of my favorites because that movie actually scares me to death. That is terrifying, and I love it.
So I'm reading an Out article talking about 13 gay horror movies.
Yeah.
One of them is called Hellbent, which is the first film to be a gay slasher.
Oh, Jesus, no! Listen, it's just there's a gay couple in it and they get killed, and that's not great representation.
It follows several gay men trying to evade a killer during Halloween in West Hollywood. Knock at the Cabin, M. Night Shyamalan's upcoming. Oh, this is for next year. Halloween is coming out in theaters February 3rd next year.
Interesting.
Two gay men play a couple of dads who take a trip to a cabin with their daughter. Soon turns to be a nightmare. Stephen Dunn. Oh, I like Stephen Dunn's movies. Directorial debut, a body horror, makes for an analogy of the fear coming out. The title is Closet Monster.
Ooh.
When he was a young boy, Oscar witnessed a violent homophobic attack involving a man being impaled with a metal pipe. Holy fuck.
Ow.
Yeah.
When he was older and starts having feelings for other boys, he soon feels and sees the pipes emerging from his own body. Wow.
Jeez.
I want to
watch
that.
it.
And of course, Rocky Horror is on this list.
Yeah, obviously, Rocky Horror is inherently queer.
Pitchfork, 2016 horror movie, follows a young gay man who travels with his friends back to his family farm in Michigan to come out to his controversial family. Unfortunately, when he gets there, they are stalked and killed by a deranged killer with a pitchfork. Rented on Apple TV. Stranger by the Lake, gay man. See, the one thing I don't like about these is a lot of it is gay man focused.
Yeah.
Can we get some lesbians? Can we get
lesbians
some
have the corners on the vampire lesbians. For some reason are running rampant. Like there's so many. There's so much
blood eating out.
Oh my goodness. Even okay, if you look at, I'm gonna nerd out here for a second. Most vampire lore vampires don't like that blood because it's dead blood. It's not considered fresh blood. So like. Can we get past that? It's already well established within the community that no kind of vampire eats that kind of blood. Why would that make lesbians any different?
Because most of them are written by men.
The problem always comes back to men.
have you noticed that like a lot of the better written vampire books and movies are written by women?
Yeah. Interview with a Vampire. Bram Stoker, though, you did a really great job with Dracula.
Yes.
I will say that was fantastic.
But he had that, according to his love letter, women had a woman's eye.
Yeah.
Especially at that time, though.
Oh, man.
Do you have anything to bring up? We can run
I
it a
don't
little
think
longer.
so. No, that was just a great episode. I'm so excited about it. Now I'm just kind of sad it's over. But I'm so glad we got to talk about it.
Me too. Well, once again, my name is Rayven. I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Alex. I use they, them pronouns.
And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
For No Nug November.
Woo!
Raven here. I just wanted to make a little ad for our Patreon that we started. First and foremost, all the funds generated with this Patreon is going to go directly back into the podcast, whether that's better equipment so we can make better sounding episodes, give you guys really cool stuff like stickers, pictures, nice little trinkets from us, or be able to travel to places where there is legal weed or there's certain LGBT communities that we want to interact with and talk to, and potentially have some really cool guests come on the show. Now, right now our Patreon is bare bones, and I do apologize with that, but we hope to make it a little better as time goes on. Right now we have 3 tiers: flower, vape cartridges, and concentrates. Flower is $3 per month, vapes is $6 per month, and concentrates is $9 per month. With flower, you get access to our Discord, the Scuttle Zone, a private Discord that we have for you guys to kind of interact with each other and potentially interact with us. We have things for like different aspects of the cannabis community and LGBT community where you guys can talk to and kind of just interact with each other and learn from each other, and learn with us. But you also get early access to these episodes. You get a day or two, basically immediately after I'm done editing the episode, I am putting it on the Patreon so you guys can listen to it early. With vape, you have everything from the flower, but you also have access to the private chat room in the Discord server for one-on-one discussions and questions for us. You'll have the ability to basically be, hey, I have a question about this certain thing, and we'll answer it at the end of every episode. We won't get to everyone all at the same time, obviously, but we'll spread it out through the month and be able to get to as many questions as we can. And then with the concentrates, you get everything from flower and vape, but you also get behind the scenes looks at what we do here. I'll show like what I'm editing and like maybe little sound files or like little clips of what we're working on. Our show notes, so you get to see that early, potentially, knowing what topics we're going to be talking about on this next episode. Pictures of stuff in and outside of the recording stuff, like things like cannabis festivals. we'll take pictures and post some of them online, but with the behind the scenes access, you get to see all of that. Basically, all the dumb faces we make at each other, all the cool stuff that we see, and all the cute things that we find. It's my hope with this Patreon that we'll be able to go far and wide and hopefully be able to see some of you guys or have some live shows in the future where you guys can come and interact with us. And obviously no pressure. I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of this, and first and foremost, take care of you guys yourselves. If you don't have money to support it, or if something happens, you have to stop, we totally understand. Thanks.